Afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to the Renew Blandford School Building Campaign Kickoff here at the Blandford School. I'm Michael Pasco, new principal at City High Middle, also oversee Blandford Zoo and Center of Economicology. I want to thank everyone for coming, Dr. Taylor, Mr. and Mrs. Hartwell, community members, our students, our teachers, and our parents out there, and our district office folk. We appreciate you coming down. And introduce Mr. Huppert, who is really the man behind the scenes here in terms of administration. He's a school improvement administrator, but oversees our sixth grade programs as well as spends time over at CA Frost. So I'll introduce him to kick us off. Mr. Huppert.
Thanks, Mr. Pasco. I can't tell you how excited we are to be this far along in this process. It's been a long road, and we're nearing the end of it. We can't wait to stick a shovel in the ground and break ground on this project. As many of you guys know, we still have a little bit of fundraising to do, so we're announcing that campaign is kicking off to the public here, and we've got some help that we still need. But I do want to say thank you to all of you for coming out today. I know that to many of you, Blandford is very near and dear to the heart. Looking out across all these faces, I'm seeing former students within the adults in the crowd, and I'm seeing parents of former students, and a lot of people who hold this place very special to them. So thank you to the fiddler, Mr. Falb, Mr. Carl Falb, our student violinist. That was a very nice way to open up today. So again, thank you all for coming. Thanks for your support. Thanks for help spreading the word on the need for this new building. It's obviously it's time. So if you have a minute, feel free to check out the facility and see where we're coming from. And obviously, as you can see with these designs behind me, with the help of Progressive A&E, you can see where we're going. So very, very, very exciting. So speaking of where we've come from and where we're going, I'd like to introduce Dr. Mary Jane Dockery. She is somebody who I know is also cares very much about this place and has been here from the very beginning. Matter of fact, Mary Jane is one of the founders of Blandford Nature Center and Blandford School, so I'd like to welcome her up so she could talk a little bit more about where this place has come from.
Well, it's been, what, 24 hours since I've been over here talking to you kids? Yeah. They made out a list of questions for me. Wow, I should have brought some of those questions. About my past. Do I need this?
They say you do. That's
Okay,
what
they say I do? Okay, all right, I will. You know, after being in this business for about 65 years, well, I have leather lungs and I don't think about these things very often. Anyhow, they made out a bunch of questions for me about what was the very first thing that I ever remembered about nature and why was this a special place and all kinds of stuff. And boy, it kind of had me stymied. In fact, I was so glad that Mr. Lindy brought me a copy of the questions yesterday morning when I was sitting at the desk over at the center, because it took me a while to think about it all. Yeah, very, very good questions. But you know, when I stand here, and I've said this to several people already this afternoon, when I stop and think about what Blandford Nature Center is today, well, it just blows me away. It absolutely blows me away. Because some of you know that this area was my childhood playground. I lived on a chicken farm on Collindale across Leonard Street, and whenever our chores were done, we could come over here and play in Collins Woods, as it was known, because it was a big farm at that time. And so when I went to work for the Grand Rapids Public Museum, way back in 1949, you can do the math. Yeah. Why, once in a while, as I went around to the schools and talked to kids about nature, there were a few teachers, and believe me, a few teachers, who would say to me, I'd like to take the kids out. Do you know a place where we could be out in the woods, where there's just nature? And I'd say, well, yeah, I know a really good place where I used to play as a kid. I don't know who owns it, but nobody ever chased me off. And so we began bringing groups out here, and I don't know who owned it. It was still Collins Woods to me. And then I found out it belonged to Victor Blandford. Some of you perhaps knew him or some of his family. And he was a land speculator. He picked up land all over this part of Michigan. And he had bought a lot of this stuff. And he had just given permission for the city to run, I don't know if it was the city or not, but whoever runs sewer lines, he'd given them permission to run a great big trunk sewer line down through the ravine here. And these kids know where that is, and they also know that the first Lake Michigan water pipeline is right beside it. Right beside it. They can show you where the pipeline is. So when you drink water tonight, remember it came through Blandford Nature Center first. Yes. But as time went on, one day when our very small staff and loyal volunteers had gotten through with all the groups of the day, we were sitting around kind of decompressing and having a cup of coffee and discussing what went on with all the kids that probably had never gotten out in the country before. And we said, what good are we doing? Are we hitting anything? Are we getting across at all? And we said, gee, you know, it would be really nice if we could have the kids a little bit longer. We said, yeah, that would be nice. And somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we could have them a whole year? And we all laughed. That was impossible. You wouldn't do anything like that. But I knew a lot of teachers and a lot of administrators back then from going around to all the schools. And I knew that they were looking in 1973 for an innovative program for kids who were bored, who were bright, who were energetic, self-starters. You all know that, don't you? Yeah, sure. And so they were looking for programs that might work for some of these kids that needed extra stimulation. Well, I said, you know, I think maybe we could offer something. And I was encouraged to write up an outline and toss it in the bucket. Sure did. That was May, I think, April or May 1973. And in September, we had our first beeps. But we only had one room for them over at Frost School. And Joe Grassi was city manager at that time. And there were an awful lot of people, both on what we call the fifth floor. You probably never heard the word term fifth floor. That's where the administrators were in the schools. And it was just known as the fifth floor. I go back a long way. Yes, I go back a long way. And so he came and talked to me, and he said, I'd like my son in that program. And I said, well, we have only room for one class, 30 kids over at Frost School. And we talked for quite a while. And when he left Blandford, he went down to the zoo, which was under his jurisdiction in 1973. And he commandeered the education building. And his son had a really nice teacher he liked a whole lot at Westwood Hills School. And so he talked this poor young man into taking over a program, having a class at the zoo. So Zoo School was born. Then, when these kids came out here, and they had a wonderful time in nature with exceptional teachers that we've always had out here. And then they went back. It was a good cut because we knew they'd go back into middle school. They'd be in a new situation, you know, after being really all excited out here. But they went back to their middle schools. They were ready to go. And the middle school teacher said, wow, what have I got here? Yeah, they were self-starters. They were questioning everything. And we like to take credit for some of the reasons why city school was born. But it's kind of a natural progression. But it's just... And where's Paul Baumgartner? Where's he now? There he is, right there. He was in our first class in 1973, now in charge of food services for the Grand Rapids Public Schools. He was a barn raiser 2 years later when the barn went up. So you see where things go. I run into parents and kids because now we have kids of kids coming to this program. And I don't know how many times I've heard, it changed my life, or it changed his life, or it changed her life. And we have a member on our board now who was an inner city boy who was out here for his 6th grade. And he confided, not too quietly when he first came on the board, Yeah, you know what? I couldn't eat eggs for a year after I got out of the program. But it is just so wonderful to see what's happened with these BEEP students that have come out here year after year. I'm one of you see. Yes, indeed. And they're just going great guns as always. And I've just got to say, it's not the building that makes the program, it's the teachers. But when you get falling down portables that 19 years ago were falling down, it does come rather critically, essentially, a problem, and we better have a new school here. And thanks to Mr. Wegge, we're going to be having that kind of a building here that is green, as Mr. Wegge's everything is green, and it fits right into our whole being out here. And so every time I look around, I think of anything and everything that's going on at Blandford Nature Center now. It's just a huge thrill, and it kind of blows me away. So thank you everyone for coming and being part of all of this.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. I'd like to welcome up Mayor Hartwell.
Thank you, Mr. Harper. What a treat to follow Mary Jane Dockery, whose name is synonymous with Blandford, whose name is synonymous with nature. Did you know that her name appears in the first chapter of Genesis? Check it tonight when you get home. I'm pretty sure it's there. As God created, I'm pretty sure, Mary Jane, you must have been there. Helping out. Helping out. There's no doubt in my mind that this would not exist today. We wouldn't have this not only this jewel in our city, but also this wonderful program, educational program, without the support and the passion of Mary Jane Dockery over the years. So thank you very, very much. Well, it's a thrill to be here on behalf of the city and to represent the city today, because we have a role in this. This land is land that's owned by the city. The city has been cooperating and participating in this project, and we're eager to see it come to its conclusion so that we can enjoy the nice new facility. The building that you see behind me, I suspect that Dr. Taylor or Mary, maybe Ellen Satterley will say a little bit more about it, but it will be a LEED certified building. Look at the way it blends in and to the natural landscape with the stone and the wood, and it's a gorgeous facility. We're this close to completing this campaign, and this today is an opportunity to highlight it and begin to push it over the edge, because it's way too important not to finish this race now that we've started and we're this far along. I'm also pleased to be here today as a parent and now grandparent of Beepers. Two children, two of our three children are graduates of the Blandford program, along with a special son-in-law who is part of the Blandford program in many ways and was a graduate of this program, and now a grandson who's not here with this group but in the other class. He's inside studying hard, I'm sure. Work. Nothing but work for Micah. So Susan and I feel a special affinity to the program and to the school. I'm delighted to be here. I look forward to participating in this last push to take it over the top. And thanks for giving me a chance today to have a few words.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hartwell. I'd like to welcome up Dr. Taylor, our superintendent.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, wow. Are we that sad to be here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, let's thank the real reason why we're here, these boys and girls, for being excellent students. It's easy to ask people for money on your behalf because we really need to take you all everywhere we go where we're asking people for money because you will make them give it. But you're going to make them give it not just because you're not beautiful. You are beautiful, you're talented, you're smart, but because you're worthy of our investment. You really are. And every young person said, oh, this will be cool, this will be neat. And then somebody said, but we won't be here. But you will be here because the work that you're doing now adds to the legacy of the school. And we want other students to have the same experience that you're having. Now, we want them to have it in just a little, the facility could be spruced up just a little bit, don't you think? Just a little bit. But on behalf of the Grand Rapids Board of Education, and certainly everyone I work with, first of all, I would be most remiss if I did not thank the Wegge Foundation, and especially Ellen and Terry for their leadership, because they have helped the district exponentially with many, many initiatives. The work that we're doing at City with the International Baccalaureate Program, this initiative, the Wegge Foundation is a partner, but they're also a friend that asks very, very difficult questions, and they expect an excellent answer. And we're here today because of the district's ability to answer the questions that are posed by the Wegge Foundation. But they are a critical partner to the district's success, and certainly to Mr. Wegge, but most especially to you two ladies. Thank you so much for all that you've done. Again, their lead gift of $1.5 million really got the ball rolling. But we also have generous support that's come from the Steelcase Foundation, the Peter and Pat Cook Foundation, Bissell Incorporated, Ralph Hohenstein, and a number of other donors who again, see this as a worthy investment. Now, one thing that I hope everyone takes note of is the fact that this is an example of work we've been engaged in over the past few years around public-private partnerships. This school represents an opportunity for the district to build a new facility that will be completely paid for by outside donations. Now, is that the best way to do it? We could all debate that. Should there be enough resources so that we don't wait 20 years, 30 years to do something different? We could all debate that. But at least we live in a community where people are willing to invest in its children. They're not investing in a beautiful facility. And this is. Mayor Hartwell, it will be LEED certified, it will be state of the art, it will be something that we're all proud of. And I'm very appreciative for that. But as beautiful as this is, it really cannot be beautiful unless these children are in it. And because these children come from every part of our community, I think, again, this is also an example of what we should be striving to do in all of our schools, which is to make them places where students want to be, where families want to send their children, and where we know that they can get a first-rate education. I also think that we need to be mindful of the fact that, and yes, this is going to be a shameless, shameless plug for you to get out and vote on November 8th for the millage to support our Warm, Safe, and Dry initiative. Now, I will be unapologetic, okay, and I will be unapologetic in saying that all of our buildings, every single one that has a student in them, is deserving of a facility that is world class. Is there anybody here who does not believe in heat during the winter? Do any of you not turn your heat on during the winter? Okay. Is there anybody who believes that fresh air at all times is a wonderful thing because your windows are cracked and you choose not to replace them? No. And I know on a rainy day like this, Paul Baumgartner got a little water on him, and I thought we might have to take him to the emergency room. No, that's a joke. That's not true. But I'm just saying, it's elementary things like this, that we must make sure all students have access to. So please, on Tuesday, November 8th, vote early. I'd like to say vote often, but this is Grand Rapids, not Chicago. But what I'm saying, That was a history. That was a history reference. So when you're in social studies, and that's why I did that. It was for the kids, right? Right. We talked about this, right? Right. Okay. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay. So we're not going to wait 40 more years to rectify a situation that should have never gotten out of hand in the first place. Again, this is going to be something that each of you will be proud of, and proud to say that you attended here. I talked to someone who said that this is a return for her. She was an alumni, and I'm not going to say, it was like 2-3 years ago? Yeah. Okay. But again, I mean, it just it just speaks to the fact that when something is special, I think this is the neat thing about all of this. That if you really think about it, it's because of what happens here that people don't really care what it looks like. I mean, as long as what's happening here continues to happen. So this is in large part, this is your fault, boys and girls. This is all your fault. If you weren't so wonderful, we wouldn't all be here. So you should really give yourselves a pat on the back for that. There you go. No, I petted a chicken today, so that will definitely be a journal entry because I've never really known a chicken personally, so I mean, I've had encounters with chickens on a plate, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, now, so thank you all for. I'm sorry, John is saying none of this is on this. John, I'm sorry. Okay, I know none of this is on here. Please make sure you take these with you. I mean, these are your pledge books, and it has all the pertinent facts. And there's an envelope in there that you can use to send a generous contribution to support this, and it will go to the Student Advancement Foundation, which is working with us to be the responsible party for donations. And the Student Advancement Foundation, headed by Susan Hartwell, is just the best friend that you could have. So we have two critical friends, the Weggy Foundation, the Student Advancement Foundation. And when you have friends like that, you really have excellent friends. And I think it's most important now that we really acknowledge and thank Ellen Satterley, who's going to come on behalf of the Weggy Foundation to offer remarks. But I want to thank everybody for coming, and certainly thank everybody for the energy behind this. We're going to raise the money we need. We're going to have a nice groundbreaking that boys and girls, you should all come for. Now, some of you asked for carpet squares as souvenirs. We're going to have to find you something else, because unless we press it under glass, I can't let you take that carpet home, because there could be some disease that you might discover a cure for as a result of those carpet squares. So we'll figure something else out for you. But don't be disappointed. I promise we will figure something out. But Ellen, I'm going to ask if you come forward to give
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, and I want to thank all the children, too, for being here. It's good to be out here and see all their smiling faces, and I know Mr. Weggy especially would love to see the children because he says often and has said for many, many years, really the answer to making our world a better world lies in education, and it starts with our young people and our young minds. So we are thrilled to be here. And we'll make sure we share all the beautiful pictures with Mr. Weggy when we get back home. When we came through the first time, and Terry told me these were 40-year-old classrooms, I had no idea the state that they were in, the dilapidation and the state they were in. So, we shared this with our trustees and with Mr. Weggy and said, we really need to do this. So last spring, they decided to give a $1.5 million grant to the schools for this project. And we've been working very hard. Terry McCarthy has been working especially hard with the Blandford Nature Center folks, with the Blandford school folks, with the community, and she really deserves a big round of applause for her dedication to this project. Thank you, Terry. So I think think most of us all know about Mr. Wegge's 6 E's, and his number 1 E is education. And that's why we are so committed to this project. Education is followed by ecology and environment, empathy, and ethics. And together, they wrap together to form what he calls economicology, making us all a whole and better planet and healthier planet to live on. We are also really thankful that we have some good partners. Carrie Bohr is here from the Peter and Pat Cook Foundation. They were also one of the initial gifts to come on board, along with the Steelcase Foundation and several others. So thank you, Carrie, for joining us and for your generosity. So as the brochure said, which Dr. Taylor shared with you, and please take it with you, we're not out of the woods yet. We have a long ways to go, and we hope you all will share in the continuance of the fundraising so that we can break ground, and hopefully the class of 2013 will start here in the fall, and we'll be able to have a celebration of the open house for this great and wonderful project. So thank you all very much. And I get the wonderful privilege of introducing our student representative, Carl Kaub. Carl?
I was just going to talk about the new building. Right now in the school, it's really nice, but in the building right now, it's sort of cramped. And right now we're doing this project with this international country, making a big poster. And posters are pretty big, like bigger than these things, a little bit. So if you set, and there's just a little bit of room, so 63 students working on them all at the same time, we need more room. And also with the new building, it will be a lot easier workspace to do all sorts of fun art type projects, all sorts of art type stuff. And it's just, the new building is going to be really cool.
Carl didn't mention, we actually are, with the help of the teachers, which I'd like to give a round of applause to our teachers. Thank you. With the help of the teachers and some local area artists, kids are actually going to be working on some permanent art installations, which are going to kind of provide a student art legacy in the new building. So thank you guys for your contributions to that. Again, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who is rallying around Renew Blandford. We've got a website which is now up and running, and I believe it's renewblandfordschool.org. So renewblandfordschool.org, check it out. Again, thank you all for coming. Please help yourself to some cider and donuts, and enjoy the fall day. Thank you.